There's always entertainment.
It's like a bag of potato chips. I can't put it down. I love dirt racing.
It's just a normal Saturday night racetrack that I grew up on.
The Prelude, it's the ultimate.
This year's Gillette Fusion Pro Glide Prelude to the Dream has a new twist. You'll still see hot laps qualifying, exciting heat races, and the showdown in the main event. But this time, the Prelude is 2 races in 1. An overall winner will be crowned, and the first ever team champions will earn a big donation to the children's hospital they represent.
We tried to figure out how we could make everybody in the field and everybody's position count. We've had team races where we shared the same car and 3 or 4 people drove, but not an event where the guys you're competing against, some of those guys are actually on your team, and I don't know if we'll all be smart enough to be able to remember who's on each other's team while we're out there and trying to take care of each other, but the one thing we will be able to do is, at the end of the night, know that not only do we have a race winner, but we also have the team winners too.
First of all, it's for great charities. It's for a great reason, and to be able to split the teams up into 4 groups is, in the end result, everybody wins, and that's what's important for the fans and for the children's hospitals.
You know, the championship is what it's about this year. Each team wants to raise the most money to go to their children's hospital, and I think there's a certain more amount of pride. Now we got team versus team, and hey, you know, we got all the money and we're gonna give it to Team Riley.
Robbie Gordon and Carl Edwards fight for the lead.
Carl got a good jump off of 2 that time. He didn't get such a good start last time, but boy, here comes Robbie.
Oh, boy!
Carl's not
How
gonna
about
like
that?
I think that it's going to make it more intense for the drivers, because it was easy for me to say, all right, well, I'm not starting, you know, near the front. It's tough to pass. It's a short race. Doesn't really matter, just go have fun. Now there's going to be more of a purpose for the team and the impact your finish has for the team's overall ranking.
Well, I think it's going to force drivers to do what I already do, which is try to drive their hardest every lap and pick up any position they can.
I think the most important thing is you don't want to be the guy that drags the team down, so you got to finish the race. That's important.
The group and everybody in teams, I think it's exciting, you know, just kind of add a little flair to it. You have so many different levels of experience on dirt that come to this race. I mean, last year was my first ever time on dirt. Then you have Jeff Gordon, who grew up racing on, you know, sprint cars, or Tony Stewart, that races dirt cars all the time. I want to take a harder look at Tony's team, because I have a feeling it's heavily weighted.
Whoa, look at that, man. How do you do that?
I'm extremely happy to be a part of it. Tony has created an event that people really want to go to. Everyone loves to be in the dirt cars, loves to go to Eldora, and wants to help and support.
Being invited is special in itself, because there's so many great race car drivers out there that, you know, just to be a part of it, because we always say it's so much fun to go out there and race at that racetrack, no matter what you're racing. You know, I'm sure that there's been people that have raced golf carts around there at night with the lights out, just to say they've raced at Eldora. So it's a special place, and being invited is special, but getting to race with guys that I've never got to race against, that may never get a chance to race against my entire career, is special as well.
How'd you figure this out so fast?
You know, just typical, like being in a cup car. I close my eyes and hold the right pedal down.
Just to have Tony personally want me to come to the race and kind of step out of my comfort zone and get something different that I'd never done before. And it made me feel like maybe I belong in NASCAR, because you got a guy like Tony Stewart with all he does on and off the racetrack, just to take his time and personally say, hey man, come to the race, you know, get used to it, it's gonna be okay. And just to have me be a part of that core group, it means a lot to me.
I'm really impressed with the way these guys are looking for a place to race.
It means the world to me. I know people that are in line that want to run this race now. You know, it's like you got to get in on the deal, and you got to be brave, and I got in on the deal, and I stayed competitive.
NASCAR's best today will be Kenny Wallace as he wins the Prelude.
I'm completely humbled and grateful to be invited every year. It means a lot to me.
Driving and racing all the things I have gives me a unique skill set and ability to kind of jump in vehicles and take off and get going. I have to admit though, the grip level that these dirt late models have is far more than I ever expected, and at times I think it has more grip than a Cup car does.
I did race go-karts in dirt, but in dirt go-karts it wasn't like a late model where you're sideways just working with the throttle. It's just a different experience.
Here comes Brian Vickers in the 83 car. Look at this wad going off into turn 2.
That was primarily all I did for most of my life, and then, branched out and did some pavement racing, but the dirt car technology is advanced so quickly. I mean, these cars are completely different than the cars I drove, so just because I did it at one time and had a fair amount of success at it doesn't mean you're going to jump back into these newer type cars and have the same level of success. They're definitely a unique animal.
So much of pace depends on where the grip is in the track, and as we all know, as the track slicks off, you got to keep going upstairs and get very comfortable with the cushion. I now understand how to drive the cushion in one of those cars. We would use the cushion in off-road trucks, but in a similar way, but the way the vehicle worked was much different. With the rear ends in those cars moving so much, there's a lot of movement going on before you ever get to the cushion. So it's just tough for me to really know where I was in the car and where the edge and the cushion was. And I've done a good job of figuring that out now.
My best way that I've found success with is right around the top. Anytime I try to go to the bottom, I just get too loose. I can't get a run off the bottom of the racetrack. So for me, it's always about trying to hook it right up on the cushion on the top of the track and get as much momentum built around that place as you can.
I'm a rim rider right up top. It's totally opposite of how I race my Sprint Cup car, but kind of use the wall actually as a little cushion to help put the right rear up on there and actually give me a little grip.
Well, whatever the track kind of dictates, sometimes it's right up on the fence, sometimes it's anywhere, not a whole lot of time on the bottom. That's the thing about dirt racing, the track kind of dictates what's the fastest line. Sometimes your car will like one spot over the other, but most of the time the track's going to tell you where to be.
3 wide finish, and it is Carl Edwards.
What a finish!
What a great race, man.
What a finish!
People still come up to me and talk about the race I had with Jeff Gordon in that Prelude a few years ago, and I mean, the fans love it, and it's bigger than I knew it was. When I went there the first time, my buddy Stacy Holmes brought this car. I had no clue how we were going to do. Ended up having one of the greatest races of my life, and won the thing. I mean, as many fans came up to me and talked to me about that as they have at any of my Cup wins.
Yeah! Stuck it.
Right. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's do it in the dirt, boys!
Well, it was a neat race last year. There was a lot of fun battling for 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way to 7th, I think. It was me, Rudiman, Kenseth, Tony, Clint Boyer was in on it too, and so we were running all over the place just trying to get our car to where we could get it to the front.
And I'm sitting there in 4th going, this is great. I mean, I'm in the best seat in the house watching a great dirt late model race.
That was a blast last year. I wish we wouldn't have had that caution flag because it was fixing to be a really good barn burner, as they say in Ohio.
I tell you, here comes Ryan Newman in the picture now, and certainly Kyle Busch is right there on their back bumper too.
It was really fun the way everybody was battling it out and running all over the racetrack and trying to make ground.
To watch these guys all scrambling, and we all knew where Kenny was going, but nobody knew where the 2nd and 3rd place guys were going, and one guy would make a move and another guy would have to counter it with something else totally separate from that.
We were running 3 wide going for the lead there with Kenny Wallace and myself and Boyer, and Stewart snuck by us.
Look at this, guys.
Gets
5
tagged.
cars.
Loving it. Yes, sir. I'm telling you, everybody's on their feet here.
Tony had just taken the lead. I led about half of the Prelude to the Dream, and Clint Boyer got into my left rear tire and flattened it, and it was disappointing. It's kind of funny. We're all there to raise money, and we are there. That is the goal. But boy, I tell you what, we get into it.
The biggest bummer was getting into Kenny. He's a good friend, a lot of fun to be around, and is racing really well.
We're good friends, and maybe I'll flatten his tire.
And he's actually opening up a little bit on Tony Stewart right now. That 48 car, they have put the right setup on it for the race.
White flag, 1 to go. This thing isn't over with yet. Tony just can't get off turn 2 as good, but look at him. He's going to go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. And it's Johnson over Tony Stewart.
I was extremely nervous in the car. I knew Tony was back there. I knew he was coming at some point. And without having mirrors or a spotter, I didn't know that I had a big lead. I didn't know if the line I was using was working. I didn't know much, so I just ran as hard as I could, and the last 2 laps he took it easy and he kind of caught back up to me, but such a thrill. I mean, to be in a car that you're not familiar with, out of your element, and run well and win was really cool. It was tough, and I ran scared. I just didn't know if I could hold him off, and I felt like if I could run second to him, that would be a pretty big feat. And then as the laps started winding down, I thought, man, I've really got a shot at this thing. I'm leading it, and he hasn't passed me yet, so it was pretty cool.
It's double the bragging rights, and I also like how we put into 4 teams. You know, so there's a lot more going on with some of the charities and things, which is what this race is all about.
It's what we all love about dirt racing. You know, you got what you got. It's not a very long race, and it's go, cat, go.
Team St. Jude, because you got Carl Edwards, you've got Robbie Gordon, you got guys that, you know, when the track has been really slick, these guys have been really, really good there.
I think Team Levine's pretty tough. Kyle Busch's team. He's got some pretty solid guys. That, you know, you really don't see anyone that sticks out as that could maybe drag the team down. So I think he's got an overall a good B average team.
I'm looking at Team Cincy being our biggest competition. Tony's in there, Casey Kane's in there, Kevin Harvick. You know, those guys are all pretty good and run well on the dirt stuff too. Joey, it was his first time last year. I feel like he'll come back and bounce back with a vengeance this year. And of course, you know, Cruz, you never know what, of course, he can bring on too.
Team Levine, I think they're going to be pretty tough. And those guys are all really good drivers, and they'll be good when it's slick.
Marcos Ambrose can drive anything. Dave Blaney's won more races on dirt than probably the rest of us combined. Kyle Busch, I still haven't seen him on dirt too much, but David Rudiman, I'm telling you, he's the sleeper right there. He's been practicing. He sends me text messages, pictures of his dirt cars he works on, and it's going to be pretty tough.
Not worried about any. I'm not saying they got a hands down. They got a ringer with Tony. Carl's good too, so it should be a lot of fun.
I'm really excited to be invited to Prelude to the Dream. Growing up on dirt, you know, motorcycles, not a car, I've always felt like I know the dirt a little bit better. So that's always kind of been intriguing to me. And just the cool event and the people that go to it and the fans, I mean, it just looks fun. You get to compete, but at a fun level. It's almost like an X Games event, but for car racing, if you will. Obviously, it's not as crazy as X Games, but the racing is good and it's a fun atmosphere. It's all about the athletes, the fans, and raising money. To prepare, I'm going to lean on my old boss, Kenny Schrader, to get me all dialed in, and maybe Clint Boyer if he has some room for me. Grew up racing motorcycles with him, and he's always said, hey, I got a dirt car. Anytime you want to come drive it, come on up. I look forward to getting in it. Like, I think that I'd be a little more at home because I grew up on dirt. You know, even if it was only on 2 wheels, I feel right at home. So I can't wait to get there and try it out.
His work ethic is second to none of anybody I've ever seen in my life. His focus, his determination is awesome, and I feel like those are the qualities that'll help you in any sport, no matter what you do.
You know, there's just so much talent in this event, and you never know who's going to come out of it being one of the guys to beat.
Just to see all the NASCAR guys in a different element, it's just fun to watch. You know, some of them just grasp it and go so good, you know, better than expected, and you just appreciate how good they really are when they can get in something different like that and run really good. And beating Tony at his own track is the ultimate that everybody wants to do. And I mean, I'm going to say it, I'm due. I've been close, and if I can get something good to ride over there, have a chance at it.
Felt like I was one of the few guys that had something for Tony last year, but blew an engine and didn't get a chance to race him in the main. So I think I've been to the Prelude 3 times or 4 times, and I've only raced it once or twice because of parts failures. But I got in a really good car last year. We qualified on the outside pole to Tony for the main, and you know, so I'm looking for a little redemption this year.
At the Prelude, the pressure's on to go perform in a car that you're not used to running in anyway. So yeah, you're trying to get the most out of it and have a lot of fun at the same time. You know, it's for a great cause.
This is as serious as any cup race you go to. I mean, you know, people are relying on, you know, you guys, you know, your team to come through and help provide some some financial support for what they're doing. So, I mean, yeah, you don't want to talk about pressure. I think it ratchets the pressure level up quite a bit.
The Prelude is a winning thing for everyone. The fans enjoy it. The people who get to watch it on TV enjoy it. And then to raise money for 4 different children's hospitals. And then the team concept is really pretty neat too, because there's really one winner a year. And I've been fortunate. I've won the thing. It's like one of the highlights of the year, no matter how great your year is in racing. But now, even if you don't run well, you still get to stand there with the trophy with your team, and that'll be pretty cool.
I've never been in a situation or anywhere where I could have that much fun and put it to a good cause, and be able to help the kids and all these great organizations. It's just going to be a blast and give you a good feeling at the end of the night.
Tony Stewart's starting to aggravate me. He wins everything. Now he's won like 2 or 3 at Eldora. No more, Tony. The Herminator is coming after you. I'm gonna get me a cheater car. I'm coming after you, buddy. I don't know what my car was.
Are you ready? Only the best on dirt are going back to Eldora.
This time, it's a whole new race.
4 teams, all with one goal.
Celebrating in Victory Lane.
Support your team. You can't miss the first ever team race. 25 champion drivers put it on the line, benefiting 4 children's hospitals.
Don't miss the Gillette Fusion Pro Glide Prelude to the Dream.
Wednesday, June 9th.
Our team is counting on you.
Don't miss it, live on Dish Network pay-per-view.